What's up, everybody? Unrested here. Hi. This is a video I've wanted to make for a very long time. Me sitting here at my studio doing a drawing. Because people always ask, they say, "Oh, Scott, how do you do your drawing technique? What do you do? What's your process?" I think I've never been able to make the video just due to the fact that I've never figured out a way in which to place the camera in which you could see me and what I'm drawing on at the same time. Right now I'm doing some artwork for an RPG, which is kind of like an urban, dark urban noir survival. It's set in kind of this like really messed up sort of spirit world meets the urban world type setting, and the character I'm going to be doing is kind of this like old, withered, decrepit looking mix between like a ghost slash demon. So I'm going to go ahead and draw it and put it on here for you to see as I draw. And first thing I do is I put a piece of paper behind the actual pad of paper that I'm drawing on. So as ink does not soak through. Usually I would do an underdrawing in pencil first. I am not going to do that due to the fact that you probably wouldn't be able to see it from this far away. So something I always like to do is first I do an underdrawing. So just for like this, I'm going to use the pencil just for the underdrawing. I'm going to give it some shapes, so I have some shapes to work with first. There's the head. I don't know how well, I don't know, maybe you can see this, maybe you can't. I can't really tell. I'm not close enough to the camera to even be able to tell. But I'm going to put just some very organic shapes. That's the torso type area. Here's the arms I'm putting on. Usually with those I use like sausage type shapes. Forearm, there we go. Alright, and I always try to tell people when you do this, make it like an expression drawing. Don't worry about putting a ton of time into it. Try to do it as fast as you can. It gets more expressive lines in there. That's just my own personal technique. You can use it, you don't have to. I'm sure many other artists actually do this. Maybe they don't. I don't care. Works for me. Might work for you. I don't know. I think different techniques work different for everybody. Alright, there we go. Alright, give him a back leg. Another kind of sausagey type shape for the quadricep. I believe that's the muscle name. I don't know. I don't actually have to know the name of the anatomy. I just have to know how to draw it. Ha ha. Alright, and then bring the other arm down here. Alright, other arm reaching out. He's kind of in the middle of like a little bit of a decrepit sprint. And now let's go ahead and use our ink so that maybe you can see. Alright, so always a side or profile view that I like to do is just like that. Start out like that and come down with the lips. Now this guy, he's got to have his mouth open so that we can show he's decrepit. One of the best things you can do if you're making like a rotting type zombie or a kind of withered looking guy, open up the mouth and then make some of the cheek skin missing, and right away that'll bring out a sense of rot and dilapidation in his flesh. Ooh, sounds like I'm writing horror or a horror movie or writing lyrics to a death metal band or something as I talk. Then eye is always from the angle, or the side I should say, should always be drawn like a little bit of a triangle like that. With this, we're going to leave the eye socket in. You can, of course, empty out an eye socket if he is rotting, because eyes are the first thing to rot when you die. Now that you know that, death seems so much more grim. Hair is great. One thing I always highly recommend doing if you want to make something look really kind of frizzy or withered or writhing in the wind, don't keep your hand steady as you draw. Shake it like this. So here's like something I do. Just make it like you've got like tremors in your hands as you draw it. Okay, so he's got like kind of tremors and all kind of frazzled. And don't be afraid if the little frizzy hairs don't connect up and stuff like that. That can be just due to a light source that's not there. It can be due to dilapidation in light source. It can be all different types of stuff. We'll put an ear on there, but we'll rot it out a little bit. We'll put some black in there and rot it out. You don't ever have to give ears too much definition, mostly due to the fact that shadows start to enter your ear pretty quickly, as it is deep and tubular. So don't worry too much about that. Now I'm going to switch and go to a lighter line. Do the hairline on the side. Hairline on the side tends to be V shapes. Your hair tends to grow in V's on the top of your forehead, coming down like a widow's peak, like my V right here. And then you notice a V here and a V here. Those always end up giving it a very real hairline look. Of course, don't be afraid to push that hairline back to add age or progressively declining hairline. I like to make patches missing when I'm doing a zombie type character or a withered type character. That's just my own personal little touch that I like to do, but maybe some other people use that. Alright, as for neck, if it's a man, don't forget the Adam's apple. That's very distinct. If it's a woman, keep the neck very, very thin and porcelain-like. That will really give it a feminine touch. I personally used to really struggle when I was younger to make a very different, distinguishable man and female body. Of course, I started out drawing only men because, as most artists do, you start out drawing the gender that you are. That's pretty common. It's actually a psychological thing. And actually, I have heard that people who identify as transgender tend to draw the opposite, which completely makes sense to me in my mind. At times I wish I had that power to draw the female figure as well as I could draw the male figure. I still feel like I have a lot to learn as to perfectly draw the wonderful and beautiful anatomical curves that make up the wonderful female body, which is always beautiful. Do not judge it. Each and every female body has its own type of beauty. Maybe men too, but sorry guys, I don't look at you the same way. Not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. Alright, we're giving him a shirt. Of course, we're going to make that shirt sort of torn up and everything. Now, remember, if you're making a character rotted out or dilapidated or some sort of zombie type thing, think about the size that you want the arms and legs and everything to be, and then go skinnier than what you thought you wanted. You'll never go wrong, because remember, if you're withered, the bones are clinging very tight to the skin, the muscle is atrophying, the skin is getting dry and wrinkled up against the bone. It's always better to go more skinny rather than more muscular with a zombie. A muscular zombie just doesn't really make sense. Even a bovine or corpulent zombie doesn't quite make sense unless it was something that was like from the water, and then if you're from the water, then you bloat and everything, you're disgusting. Sorry, dead people in the water. I hope you don't take offense. Alright. With fingers, I always take a very, very light curly line. Many people write to me about how hard fingers are to draw, and guess what? I think every artist goes through a finger phase at some point in their early learning of different artistic techniques. My advice to anyone who wants to improve your hand or finger drawings, take a sketchbook and just fill it up with fingers. That's what I did when I was young, when I was a young artist, still in school, not even knowing what the hell I wanted to do with my life. I filled so many notebooks with just pictures and pictures of feet and hands, fingers, just because they're hard. They've got so many joints, but they're so tiny and so detailed. And then if for different people, like old people have really different fingers from younger. And then the bigger a person is, the fatter a person is, really changes finger shape. So there was a lot to learn. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, it was easy. It was easy to draw that. It wasn't. Feet too. Feet have a very, especially if you draw feet from the front. Like I'm really lucky for this. I'm doing a profile view from the side. So I will not have to draw a foot from the front. Drawing a foot from the front is very hard. You have to learn a skill called foreshortening. If you don't know exactly what foreshortening is, it's pretty much drawing something from close up to far away, which really changes the shape. If you don't get that shape exactly right, it's noticeable very quickly, unfortunately. adding a little bit of shadow. Sorry, I shut down from talking for a second. I just wanted to focus on this little bit of shadow on his clothes. Clothes are kind of always nice to add to a character because they allow you to really be exaggerated with shape and detail. We don't exactly know what exact clothes some characters are wearing, or we don't know what the flesh or bone or muscle structure looks like under that clothes. So you're allowed to make some mistakes, make some super exaggerated shapes and stuff, and still get away with it. So I would say learning to draw the human body naked is very important. Life drawing class is very important. But for those of you struggling sometimes with drawing a decent character with anatomically proportionate parts, don't be afraid to add some clothes. It'll really help you out with getting your first, most basic structures down. Now with this, I've kind of just given him a pair of torn up shorts. His other leg, I think I'm going to let it disappear off the page. We don't have to actually put that one on there because I'm going to put a frame around this guy. Oh, I left the top off the other one. Now it's drying out. Stupid Scott. Way to go. I'm going to go ahead and hold this up to the camera soon. If you can't see it well already, I'll make sure you can see it in just a second. So sorry for the wait. I'm hoping you can see this pretty well. Alright, and there you have it. Just a couple minutes on that one. Not the best I've ever drawn, not the worst. This is just a light underdrawing. Of course, now I go back in and I really start to add detail. I think I'll keep that for another video though. That was just for me drawing the basic outline of an anatomically correct human body. I always over-exaggerate the face a little bit when it comes to these type of RPG characters due to the face that the face always tends to be boxed up and put into a frame later for a character sheet. Hence I try to over-exaggerate it a tad. For this one, it will be added as a zombie-esque type character, or sort of like the voodoo type zombie, which is one that is an actual human but then put into some sort of sleepwalking state. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed what you saw here today. I hope that gave you a little information on your own type of drawing. Some people have asked me to do drawing tutorials for a very long time now. If you liked what you saw here today, don't just like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what else you would like to see me draw or teach you about with drawing. Until next time, I am Unrested.